So, today's topic relates to my experience of elitist attitudes within the trans community. Hold on to your hats, guys, because it's going to be an epic rant. I've come across this attitude from various sections of the community where post-op trans people in particular seem to think that they have a right to interrogate other trans folk as to their status. That is, whether they've had or intend to have surgery and how long they've been transitioning in the community and whatnot, and pass judgment on the answers. Like it's some kind of test that you have to pass in order to prove your transness. And they have this attitude of, my transness is better and more valid than yours because ... And if you haven't had surgery or don't plan to, you aren't really trans, or you aren't as trans as they are, kind of thing. First of all, I don't give a flying fuck what your status is as far as how much medical intervention you have or have not had. That has no bearing whatsoever on how someone identifies and whether or not they're actually trans. No matter what shade of trans someone is, whether they're a cross-dresser, transsexual, transgendered, or whatever else, because gender variance covers a really, really wide range. We're all trans, all in the same boat in the fact that we're gender variant. So get the fuck over yourselves already, and just quit with the elitist shit. No one type of gender variance is better than any other. It's all gender variance, all just as valid. And just because it isn't the same as theirs does not give anyone, like the elitists, the right to distinguish themselves as better or more trans, or what the fuck ever they class themselves as. And I mean, do not even get me started on the Harry Benjamin syndrome or true transsexuals either. Please. The only thing these elitists are distinguishing themselves as, in my opinion, is grade A assholes, transphobes, and bigots. Okay, let me give you an example of how this elitist attitude works, right? A couple of weeks ago, I was out with some friends at a pub for a friend's birthday, and I met this trans girl who had this elitist attitude in spades. Okay, so we were introduced, and the first question out of her mouth was, "So, what are you into?" referring to my sexual orientation. Like, I'd known her all of about 2 seconds at this point, and I was like, what? So she asked whether I like guys or girls, and I said both. And so she was like, so you're bisexual? And I was like, no, I ID as pansexual. And she's gone, well, I've never heard that term, what's that? So I explained to her that yes, I like both guys and girls, but that I prefer the term pansexual because it covers all gender possibilities, not just the binary-oriented male and female. And, I don't subscribe to the gender binary, and gender is not a factor that I consider when I'm attracted to someone. So then she turns around and says to me, oh, so you're a true bisexual then? And I'm like, huh? What the fuck is a true bisexual anyway? I wasn't aware that there even was such a thing. But of course, because I was out for my friend's birthday, and this is a friend who I respect immensely and hold in very high regard, I didn't really want to create a scene and be rude because I didn't want to upset her. So I just kind of was like, what the fuck, and just sat back and answered her questions, this girl. Anyway, so the next question after that was whether I'm single, and because I currently am, she started with the whole touchy-feely thing, putting her hand on my leg while we're talking, and I was just like, no. And then she asked me, so how long have you been on the program? And I was like, huh? Program? First of all, there is no program for me to be on. Secondly, I don't like the suggestion that if you aren't on the program, you aren't kind of in on the whole trans deal, So I told her I've been out and transitioning for 2 years, and she was like, oh, is that all? You're just a baby. And comes back with, I came out and transitioned at 19, and I've been in the trans community and an activist for 19 years. And all said with this incredibly fucking smug look on her face. Like, what do you want, bitch, a medal? Big fucking deal. Not all of us had the luxury of supportive friends and family or growing up exposed to the community, darling. Get over yourself, So then she asked me how long I'd been going to the pub we were at, which is a long-standing GLBT-friendly place. And I said 2 years, because that's how long I've been out. And again, with she's there with the, is that all? Never mind that I didn't even associate with the trans community till I came out, and didn't come up through the lesbian community like a lot of guys seem to do. For fuck's sake, is there only one way to be fucking trans now? I didn't get that particular bulletin, thank you. I don't give a damn how long someone's been in the community or whatever. It does not make them any more valid as a trans person than someone who's just come out, and neither does being an activist. I've been a trans activist for the entire 2 years that I've been out, but before that I was a very vocal activist for a number of different causes for 25 years, so I'm not a baby activist by any means. And just because I didn't come out till 2 years ago does not make me a baby trans guy either. Because I still lived with this for 37 years before I came out. I just didn't know I had a name. And being an activist or being trans has nothing to do with how many people you know either. She asked me at one point how many trans men I know. And I said, well, personally I've met about 15 in the last 2 years in the local area. Because the guys here tend not to associate much with the trans community, and they're notoriously hard to get hold of to get together or anything. And I said, I speak to dozens more online all the time. And she was like, oh, is that all? I know over 300 trans women, And then she turns around and tries to say to me, well, that's because there's nowhere near as many of you boys as there are of us girls, Like, big fucking deal, Again, you want a fucking medal or what? Get over yourself already. I don't care how many people you know. All that proves is that you're a fucking social butterfly who lived in a very big place and had the luxury of being supported and being in the community. Again, not all of us have that luxury, and I'm sick of people who think that anyone whose experience differs from theirs is somehow less trans or less valid.